Hey guys, this is PLO, aka VodkaHaze for CardRunners. Today we're going to be doing part 2 of the heads up match review at 100 PLO against Sam Lang from RunItOnce.com. Obviously, if you haven't watched part 1, go watch it, blah, blah, blah. Reads dynamics, everything that comes into the play into this match. You should have seen part 1 already. So over the course of part 1, a couple of leaks, things, reads that we've seen from Sam Lang is that, one, he seems to c-bet and double barrel a lot, and he seems not to give up on the nuts or nothing kind of boards, like lockdown flops, flush turns, paired flops, so on. And obviously, when you think someone has a leak, you should make it as awful as possible for that person to have that leak. So how we're going to adapt to just punish him for what we perceive to be suboptimal play is that on the nuts or nothing kind of boards, we're, instead of check raising bluffs and then pure value hands as you would against just some random, we're going to check raise a really more linear range, and that's going to include bluffs, middling kind of hands, top middle kind of value hands we'd normally check call, and then the value check raises. And we're going to make it top heavy so that whenever he plays back, we're going to show up with a bunch of hands that can continue to his bet 3 bets or his bet floats when we check raise on those kind of flops. To combat his c-betting and double barreling, on dry flops, we're going to be check raising a little bit and check calling a lot. And then we're going to include some strong hands to protect our flop check call range. And then we're going to plan to check raise a bunch of turns light and for value. And we're going to try to include strong hands of all types, so strong draws and strong hands, so that we can show up with legit hands on any kind of turns, whether it changes the board or not. We're going to do that even more and check raise a lot less the wetter the flop gets. And that's especially because on wetter flops, people don't expect you really to check call with to check raise all that light. So they kind of give respect to check raises. And it's going to come down to, like, does he want to just float our check raises insanely light on the flop like 9-7-4 two-tone? And it's going to give us a hard time. So we'd rather just check call and protect our check call range with the hands like top 2 pair, middle set, and nut flush draw plus gutter or something like that that we'd normally check raise. And go for turn check raises until he starts the check back turn. And at which point, if he starts c-betting flop a lot and then checking back turn, then we can check call some insanely weak hands to exploit that and show up to the river bluffing a lot and value betting a lot and kind of own him in that sense. And if he c-bets less, then we're going to be forced to, I guess, play a more normal style wherein we check raise some of our strong hands and check call some of them. And play like you'd be expected to. So that's kind of the reads we had coming into the match. The rest of it is just, I guess, trying not to tilt and just keep your head on your shoulders when you're playing against really aggressive and smart people. Sam Lang definitely seems to do a bunch of things wrong, so we need to exploit that as much as possible. On table 3, I make a really small c-bet with ace-deuce 3-4. Obviously, in a vacuum, that's not what you want to be doing. This is a hand that has slightly too much equity to fold to a check raise, so you're kind of unhappy if you bet and then you get check raise and you fold. As a standard, this is the kind of hand I probably want to be including in my flop check back range. And it's part of, I guess, the weaker hands I'm going to check back. Bet folding is okay if you think he's just going to, fold a bunch of hands that have equity against your own hand and then not check raise bluff all that much. But Sam Lang does seem to check raise bluff flops regardless of board texture a decent amount. So he definitely should be check raise bluffing this flop a good amount. And that means that checking back is definitely the standard vacuum option against such a villain on this flop. However, if you're playing a 4-table heads-up match, it's good to just throw curveballs at the opponent like this and kind of feel him out to see how he reacts to weird lines.